documenting the history of female anti-apartheid struggle activists who took part in the 1956 Women's March is the focus today. And that's the initiative launched by the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. It's urging the public to participate in this campaign. But human rights activist, that's Ms. Elinor Sisulu, joins us now via Zoom to take us through exactly how this initiative will continue. Ms. Sisulu, thank you so much for your time. Happy Women's Month to you, and thank you for this time. And I suppose I want to start here, because I understand that your focus as the Ahmed Kathrada in documenting the women of 1956 efforts is that you're not only placing focus only on the 4 women leaders that have been widely documented, Mam Albertina Sisulu, Mam Lini Ngoyi, Mam Helen Joseph, Mam Sophia Williams de Brain, to name a few, but you're also saying there were more women out of the plus 20,000 women that need to be documented. Why do you think it's taken this long?
Okay, I'll start off with my own particular involvement in this. Was when I was researching the history of Sisulu and Tata Sisulu for the biography that I wrote. And when Sisulu talked about the march, she explained how they organized, how difficult it was, how many of the women had to pay they paid their own fares, by the way, nobody paid for them. And then they traveled in small groups by train or by bus. Some of them traveled from other parts of the country. Many of them, their husbands were against them coming because it was dangerous. And it's hard to imagine now what Pretoria was then. But black people just didn't move around freely around the city. And I think the stories about how women raised money, some had cake sales, some sold furniture, they had to do all sorts of things to be able to come. And so it was really a miracle of mobilization to bring 20,000 women to Pretoria at that time. So it really sparked my interest, and I felt it was such a pity that the stories of these women were not told. So when we see the pictures of the 4 women, Helen, Joseph, Raima Musa, Lillian Ngoyi, and Sophie de Brain, but not the stories of the others. And even of Helen, Raima, Sophie, well, Sophie de Brain is the one surviving out of those 4.
Right.
And one of the 2 surviving marches. But even their stories are not told in great detail. We just have this great big mess of 20,000 women. And one of the things Sophie talks about was that it was actually more than 20,000. They counted until 20,000, and then they just couldn't count anymore. And so it was more than 20,000 women. And the stories the fact that they came from all parts of the country means that we're really not celebrating this event with full knowledge. And we've lost a lot of the information. For example, the petitions that they presented. Where are those petitions?
Right.
Did anyone think of looking? They might be in a basement somewhere at union buildings. We don't know. Or were they destroyed? So I think there's the kind of nuance and texture of history that we are missing with this.
And I suppose that's why you started, Mr. Sisulu, if I could just jump in there, taking the initiative and naming it the 1956 Women's March Roll Call of Honor. But what I find particularly interesting is that not only are you doing this as a foundation, you're also appealing to the public with any knowledge of women who participated, any knowledge, as you mentioned there, of a petition document that you can also attach as part of history in assisting you in documenting as many women as possible.
Yes, I think I really must commend the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation for this, because we tried during Sisulu's centenary to do this exercise, and we just couldn't manage to do it. We just didn't have the capacity. And I'm really glad that the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation has taken up the challenge and will really get supported by all the other organizations concerned with our history. Because, time is running out. The women that were there are in the 80s or the 90s, those who are surviving, and even their children are getting on in age. So the more we delay, the more history we lose. So I'm really glad the foundation is doing this and has collected already about 40 names, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, and 40 names, collected so far. Before I let you go, where then can South Africans find this history and this data that you are collecting?
It's important that people go to the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation website, but also South Africa History Online, I think, is working in partnership with the foundation, and that they will continue with the work. South Africa History Online is a very good historical source, and they need to go to that or just contact the foundation directly.
All right, Ms. Elinor Sisulu, thank you so much for your time. That was a human rights activist, Ms. Elinor Sisulu, joining us there. Yeah.